Hello everyone and welcome to the Level Design Lobby. What's going on, my game design gurus? I hope you're doing well and enjoying yourself, and this was being recorded during a weekend, so I hope you're enjoying your lovely weekend. This is another episode of The Essential Reading, where I talk about things such as podcasts, videos, articles, books, and that I've read that I've really enjoyed from a design standpoint, and recommend them to you, the listeners, to see if you find them useful and enjoy them. Because, again, as much as I enjoy you listening to here, I think there's also other amazing people doing some amazing work. So again, building a community and letting us all know. And without any further ado, let's move on to the first recommendation. This is called The Art of the Shadow of the Colossus by Frederick Forcade. And just as a quick side note, with a last name like Forcade, that's amazing, and there's no other way than you get into video games with a last name like that. If that is your real last name, that's such a cool one, Frederick. So why have I chosen The Art of Shadow of the Colossus? Because probably when this episode actually releases, we'll I think we'll either be on the release day or just before the release date of the PS4 remake of Shadow of the Colossus, which I'm super excited for and very tempted in buying, because if you haven't played it, I truly recommend playing Shadow of the Colossus. It was originally by the team, it's Team Ico they're called. That's it. They now go by the name Gem Design, but they made Ico, Shadow Colossus, and more recently Last Guardian. And Shadow Colossus, for most people, and if you ask most developers, have a strong and fond memory of this game for many reasons. And Frederick does a great job of breaking down all elements of this. It's a 6-part series. I believe all 6 parts are currently out, or 5 will be out when this is released. And he breaks down a lot of things, like the opening, the design behind the opening, and what effect that has on the player, the art style, the sort of the gameplay behind the big reveal. Now, if you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, this does contain spoilers, so if you're okay with that, go forward with it. But if you do want to play the game first, then read it, because it is a very good breakdown, and again, of a great game as well. Even the first introduction part he does, I think it's very, very smart, and a very good one as well. I really enjoy this series because I'm a huge fan of Team Ico / Gen Design's work. I think they do things differently for good reasons, and not everything about their games is perfect. I mean, no game is perfect, but I really respect them for trying things and going a different direction. It's really, really brilliant, and I recommend checking that out. So now let's go to the second recommendation, Nathan Scott, How Brothers Simplified Their Controllers. Nathan Scott is a YouTube channel where I don't know what his background is in games. I believe he's a game designer. Sorry, Nathan, if you're listening. And hopefully you can let me know more about your background for me and the listeners. And he breaks down Brothers and how they simplify their controllers. Now, if you haven't played Brothers Tale of Two Sons, I recommend you check that out. Many of you will be familiar with the game director, and now his name has slipped me. Let me just go look that up. The director was Joseph Fair. Oh man, well, I'm going to mispronounce his name. Fairs? I hope I've said it. No, I hope I've said that correctly. Very, very cool dude, I think. So this was his, I believe, first time he's directed a game. And if you haven't played it, they do something really cool with the control, where each thumbstick is meant for one. You control 2 characters. One is the oldest brother, and the other is the youngest brother. And you control each one with a thumbstick. And this at the beginning can be very, very confusing for players, and it's hard to get used to at first. But Nathan shows how they've taken on some words of influence from the book, The Design of Everything, which if you haven't read is very good. Well, I've been told it's very good. I've only recently just started it. I'm enjoying it so far myself, but we'll come back to that book later. But using these principles there, they apply it to their control scheme, and the layout of the puzzles works to help the player actually understand how the controls work in terms of the layout. which I didn't pay attention to when I was playing the game. I didn't notice. They do something really amazing with the controllers near the end of the game, but I won't spoil that. But again, he does a marvelous breakdown of how the way they use their puzzles to help players understand the controls. So really do go check that out. I think it is a fantastic one. And Nathan Scott's YouTube channel is one I think you should subscribe to. He has some great videos as well. This is just one that I really enjoyed. So now before we move on to the third one, I just want to say a huge shout out to and thank you to the sponsor of the Level Design Lobby, which is Gamerborn. Gamerborn, in case you don't know, has sponsored Level Design Lobby for a few months now. I'm truly grateful that they do. Truly grateful for them sponsoring and showing their support throughout the progress of this show. It's been great to have them aboard. And if you are looking for amazing sort of game apparel, clothing, and other such things like mugs for not only yourself but for children or for partners or family members, they are a great place to visit and have some great clothing. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll probably see me having some fun and doing some stupid modeling stuff. I use modeling very, very loosely. A brilliant place in terms of quality of goods. I really like what I've bought from them. So go check them out, and you can use the coupon code LevelDesignLobby. That's all one word, capital L, capital D, and another capital L, capital for each word. And I'll put that description down below, the link to them, as well as the coupon code, so you can get 10% off any purchase. Alright, now let's get back to the third one, which is a podcast called 99% Invisible. 99% Invisible is a really, really interesting one. I've only recently just come across. It's about like the design of most things around us, kind of like the design of everything, the book, but in a podcast form. It's not by the writer. It's by a different dude entirely. And he does a great job of getting people in from stuff like movies, games, comics, and others from architects and engineers, and talking about their sort of process and these things that we take for granted because they look fine and they work how we intend them to work. But he brings these people in and chats about the actual design behind everything. But the particular episode I want you to listen to is 292, Speech Bubbles with Scott McCloud. Now, some of you may remember Scott McCloud from one of the other recommendations from one of the other essential reading list, which was the book he wrote, Understanding Comics. So this is an episode I've already read, Understanding Comics. I'm a big fan of that book. I think it's brilliant and opens your mind to different things. And he does an episode, it's about 30 minutes long, chatting about speech bubbles and comics kind of in general, and the design of them and how these speech bubbles have gotten from where they once were to where they are now, and what's influenced them and how they show such things as not just what people are being said, but also the passage of time. It's a really good one, and I strongly recommend checking that one out. So now on to the fourth one, which is Devs Game Club podcast. Now, I think I've previously mentioned them before. I am a big fan of them. I listen to their stuff to and from work. I really enjoy listening to them. They do some great stuff. And they basically are two game devs who have been working in the game industry for a very long time, and they're discussing games of old to talk about the impact that they've had on games today. And the series I want you to focus on is on episode 84, which is Silent Hills 2. Some of you may have played Silent Hill 2, some of you may not. I played a bit of it, but I never completed it back when I was younger. And it was a really smart game because it had a lot in there in terms of the whole story, the horror element, even using technical difficulties such as streaming distances and draw distances and covering them up with fog. And it is a very smart game for many different reasons, and they break it down in this series. It's a 3-part series, but it begins at episode 84, and it's worth checking out. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I hadn't completed it, but if you do want to play it before, it does have spoilers in, so if you do want to play it before listening to it, that's fine. I had no means to doing so. I remember where I got up to, so it was a great one, and there's a lot I felt I learned from that, so do check that one out. And now, for the final and fifth one, a shameless plug by me, which is Splatoon. How the Game Design Encourages Movement by me. Yep, sorry guys, I have not done a shameless plug in any of these, but I thought I'd do one, and I do feel a little dirty for doing it, but I thought I'd put it in there. So this is up on 80 level, and it is me breaking down how Splatoon, it is, in case people don't know, it is now on the second installment of the series, which is for Nintendo consoles. The original was out for Wii U, and the most recent one is out for Nintendo Switch. It is a multiplayer game. It does have a story, but it's primarily a multiplayer game where the objective is to cover the map in the most amount of paint of your colour than your opponent's colour. And when you think about shooters in games, like for example, if we take the Call of Duty or Battlefront series, they're very slow-paced shooters. They encourage you to take cover so that you pop off a few enemies, advance, take cover to heal, and then move forward. And then if you look at Doom, for example, Doom does a great thing of actually encouraging players to move fast. Do not hide behind cover because you won't heal and you'll be at a disadvantage. And I thought Splatoon had a great way of doing this as well, especially in its multiplayer. Well, it's just its overall game, but primarily for the multiplayer mode, on how the overall game design encourages players to move, because if you stand still, you will lose, and it puts you as the player at a disadvantage. And how subconsciously, through its game designs, mechanics, goals, and levels, it pushes the player and makes them move. So that'll be in the description. All of these that I've said will all be in the description down below, where you can check them out and read them or watch and listen to them fully. I hope you have enjoyed this, guys. This is just another quick essential reading, sharing what I've learned from these incredible people and their incredible work and sharing them with you. If you do have things you want to share with me, things that you found or written or recorded, then please send that over to me either at Twitter @MaxPairs or through to my email address for the Level Design Lobby, which is leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. Level Design Lobby is all one word. And yeah, please do share what you guys are learning from, because like us all really, no one knows everything about games design or development. There's such a great breadth of games and design theories and how we all design games, levels, art, programs, etc. And that's the most exciting thing, because there's so much to cover. So I just want to share with you, I think I'm doing this now once a month, my 5 favorite things of the month that I recommend you guys to check out. So like I said, if you do have anything for me to check out, hit me up on Twitter or email me. Thank you again for listening. If you do want to support the Level Design Lobby, then please do subscribe and follow me. And if you are listening to me on any sort of podcast, such as iTunes, or there's plenty of other apps that use the podcast, please do rate the podcast down below. 5 stars would be amazing, because again, it builds me up and gets more people listening. And if you're watching it through YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. So thank you all very much. Sorry for it being a quick one, but I hope you have enjoyed it. All the links are down below to check that out. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter and support the podcast. Thank you all very much, guys and girls. Take it easy, and see you next time.